We're gonna talk to people. I don't want to say we have plans for an advisory group to help us mostly with an issue that matters to a lot of people, which is aesthetics, the look and feel. The term coastal is bantered around a lot, and you do a little research and you can't find a coastal theme that's uniform. There's so many. So we're going to look to the community for some help with that, yeah, for sure. But the design is evolving still.
This is the first step, if you will.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on how big it is and where we go from here?
It's crazy. It is the first step, and it's been a year. I mean, the RFP, I believe we submitted it last February in the middle of the winter. A long step that had a lot of good community participation. We heard from a lot of people, and we got a lot of support. And we're very happy. Are you thinking, just with concern, what's specifically asking, John?
Well, I'm after your reaction for
Yeah.
this first step being
Yeah.
taken. It seems to be successful, and
Yeah,
now
yeah.
what happens?
It was long and it was fair. I think the process worked, and I think we are lucky to have a council and a staff that take their jobs very seriously and professionally. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'd like to be ready to operate in the summer of 21. Canada Day would be a wonderful opening, but don't quote me. There's a lot of factors. Like I said, as hard as it's felt in the last year, the real work is yet to begin, and there's a lot of moving parts to hit targets. But that's sort of my fantasy. July Canada Day of 21.
Okay, so what about Matt Cars? He's voted against this because of the compete clause,
Yeah.
or the non-compete clause. Can you satisfy him that he would perhaps feel better about it?
Oh, absolutely. I respect Matt's decision. He was making reference. I'm not actually completely clear what his objection was with regards to nonprofits, but I mean, we are huge supporters of nonprofits. We've provided the municipality with an exhaustive list of all the things we are going to contribute and time and space we're going to offer to many community groups. So there will not be any conflict with nonprofits trying to use that valuable land to help our community. Absolutely not.
Would you safe to say now that the real work's starting as of this moment?
Yeah, for sure. Because now we have to get the engineers and the architects and the builders and all of the million moving parts. All those decisions have to be made. This was hard, but now we really have a lot of work to do, which is good. We're looking forward to it.
Considering the design you were proposing, it's is it realistic to get it within, doing my math, 18 months from now?
I am not an architect or a builder, but my architect says yes. My architect says yes.
And I take it you have a lot of confidence.
Oh yeah, he's huge experience. He just finished our new police station. This Grant Demert is a respected force in building in our area. Has been for many years.
Is it a relief to get to this point then when you say so much more needs to be done? Or is this a milestone in your mind? Or, okay, you got a recorded vote on favor, we're going? Or like, how big is it?
Oh, it's the 16th of December was big. It was very emotional. It was we were talking. I spent, I had to speak. I had to present. I had to answer questions. That had the emotional peak, but this is the actual peak. This is actually the climax of the last year. But I think we'll look back on this as, again, I'm really loath to use the word easy because it has been so hard. I don't want to use the word hard. Actually, it's been exhaustive. Exhaustive in the term of we've gone through all the paces and all the steps that needed to be done to do this properly and fairly. I think building anything of this scope involves a lot of decisions, and we'll be working very closely with the town to make sure that the decisions are made properly.
How, sorry, I've seen them, and you were talking about coastal and beachy and blues and greens and stuff.
Yeah.
Is any of that still possible, or are you now really going to say, we want this color here, and I want this kind of wood and this kind
Well,
of
that's
concrete?
that's
or-
exactly what we want to talk to some members of the community. We have a lot of experts, a lot of people that have good opinions in our community, and we want to ask them, what does that mean? What does coastal mean to them? Should it be sand colored? Should it be blue colored? Should it be, those kinds of questions are ultimately going to be important. They are our decision. It is, as a private investment, but we are absolutely going to be asking those kinds of questions.
And those questions need to be answered soon, though, to
Well-
meet their 2021 deadline.
The good news is we're talking about aesthetics, the structure, where the holes get dug. I mean, again, I'm not an expert. Are things we can start. We can start way sooner than we've made, for instance, the decision of what color the siding is going to be. Are we using wood, or are we using siding? Are we using cedar, or are we using, the old Sunset Lodge that was there had beautiful white siding that I personally love, as an example. But some people think maybe cedar is a better color or a better material. So those kinds of decisions, we have lots of time to make those decisions, for sure.
Now, a plan did come forward where the buildings were flipped
Yes.
or turned.
I saw that.
Is that still a possibility?
It is not.
How come?
For what reason?
It's a self-serving, that design that you're referring to was very self-serving and was, had many months of opportunities to work with us and picked a different route, and that's just the way it goes.
So, I've read some of the bylaw and so on. Is this a 50-year land lease that we just approved?
It is. It is, but there are, if you actually need some time to read that lease, it is exhaustive. The protections for the municipality are deep and multi-layered. There are many conditions on many of the aspects of it, from the building to the operations. There are regular check-ins to make sure it is maintained properly, run properly. I mean, they didn't enter into this agreement with us lightly. It is going to be a document that will need to be enforced and will be enforced over many, many years. And like a lot of these things, the town has the ability to buy it out if there's a necessary, if they so deem to be necessary.
We've used various drawings and renderings and whatever. Is there any one that we could use to say, here's a reasonable facsimile? Or are you putting out like sort of, here's our latest?
Yeah, it's as you can imagine, it's a real evolution to get to the final. Because we're listening to so many people, and every little modification is a change in the drawings. In fact, the CAO and the mayor made reference to another change that we made in the last 10 days that will change it a bit. It does relate to the tower, and it relates to a few other things, because you see, we're going to be working with the town officials on site plans and where things can be placed. That will affect the design. Let's just say we will try to put out the latest soon. Okay, I want to get approval. I don't want, but again, I do stress that could change too, right? And things get taken out of context sometimes. You know how that is.
Thank you.